Boys, today I'm going to be going over how I would fix women's MMA in 2026. Now, I just want to preface this by saying there's nothing wrong with women's MMA in 2026, to each their own. I just think what I'm going to say in this video, I think it would spice up the divisions. It would spice up women's MMA. It would make women's MMA more, what's the word? Desired to watch. Yeah, desired to watch. And yeah, like I said, there's no problem with women's MMA. It's just not the best right now. It could be better. So I think this would really help women's MMA. This is kind of like a different video for me. I don't post much about women's MMA. So yeah, this is probably the only video I'll ever post about women's MMA. But if the UFC adopts this, set of rules that I'm going to be putting out, I think I'd have a spot in the UFC working for the women's division. So yeah, UFC, hire me if you like this idea. Anyway, first things first. Move all women's events to the Apex. Move all women's events to the Apex. All women's fights should be on the Apex. Now, this may be controversial, but I think every card on a Saturday night should not have women's fights on it. Now, that is not I'm not discriminating. I love women, but sometimes the women's fights aren't the best, and that's okay. That's okay. I swear I'm not trying to be rude. But sometimes they halt the, pace of the card, let's say. Sometimes they, aren't the best fights. A lot of grappling, a lot of, tit-for-tat striking. That's my favorite word, tit-for-tat. There's a lot of tit-for-tat striking in women's MMA. Now, like we've known in the past, the Apex is now going to be a ticketed event in 2026. You will be able to get tickets, and I'm pretty sure they expanded. They were doing all that construction work there. They're expanding the Apex, so that's perfect. The Apex will now be a ticketed event. More fans. This is perfect. Move all women's fights and events to the Apex. All title fights, everything. Because the Apex will now be serve more as like an arena. Do you remember that event? It was Marab versus Peter Yan 1. It was in like a casino. It was more intimate. There wasn't as many fans, but it was still fire. I think it was, what the fuck was that? I can't remember the exact name, but it was in Las Vegas. It was in like a casino, and it was a fire event. It was a fire venue. So I think this could work. Now that the Apex is going to be a bigger ticketed event, I think they can hold thousands of fans there. This is perfect. Now, let me cook on this next slide. Let me freaking cook, all right? Make all women's fights on Tuesday night like Contender Series. You're telling me you wouldn't tune in for bro, this is genuinely like one of I genuinely think this could work. This is a really fucking good idea by me. I'm not trying to glaze myself. I'm not like a narcissist, but like this is just fucking make all women's fights on Tuesday night like Contender Series, bro. Tell me this wouldn't bang. Saturday night, you have the banger male fights. It's just all male on the pay-per-views, on everything. But listen, Tuesday night is dedicated for women. Tuesday night are the women's fights at the Apex, but it's a ticketed event. Tell me you wouldn't like having another night of fights. Tell me, 2 nights a week you have fights. You have Saturday and you have Tuesday for fights. I'm basically giving you more fight nights, bro. Like I'm a fucking genius. But this like do it up until Contender Series. We still need Contender Series. Which Contender Series? When is Contender Series? Fuck. I think it's like August to October for Contender Series. I'm pretty sure. So from August to October, I'm sorry, we will need to, continue doing Contender Series. But August to October, without any women's fights, that will suck. Maybe I'll make a little revised, when I think this more through. But, this is my base plan. I think this is a great idea. Put women's fights on Tuesday night, like Contender Series. It's giving you another thing to tune into if you're a fight fan. Yes, and we can have title fights at the top of the bill. We can have, it's like prelims. I mean, are there enough women's fights for like prelims and a main card? Maybe it's just like an 8 fight. It's like a 7-8 fight main card. It goes by like that quick as hell. Title fight. We can have title fights. It's like normal, but it's on Tuesday night, like Contender Series when Contender Series isn't in season. Tell me I didn't just freaking cook right there. Tell me I didn't just cook. Anyway, that is a great idea by me. More fights, more the merrier. Step 3, every Tuesday until Contender Series starts. 1 title fight in the winter, 1 in the spring, 1 in the summer. So that gives every champion. Most women's champions don't fight 2 times in a year. So that makes every, let's say, Zhang Weili fights in the winter, Shevchenko in the spring, Harrison in the summer. Bang. Tell me that wouldn't bang. 1 title fight per season. Winter, spring, summer. What am I missing? Oh, fall? Yeah, fall is for Contender Series. Bang. Anyway, Yeah, every champ fights once a year, and you get I cooked so hard. Double pay for finishes. You get double your pay if you get a finish. Now, this would incentivize the women to, how can I say this in the most nice way possible? I feel like some women don't grit down and, really want to get dirty. It's because they're feminine. Women are more feminine. They don't dig deep. They don't want to look bad. They don't want to, look all, disheveled after the fight, all cuts, bruises, which is completely fine. I sympathize with women about that. But double pay for finishes, bro. This is like Tuesday Night Contender Series on steroids, bro. This shit's like on steroids, but it's like the better finishes from women. And women are more keen to go for finishes because it's double pay. And bro, I think this could really work. I'm not gonna lie, this is such a W fucking idea for me. Yeah, man, I really like this. Double pay for finishes. One time, and you know what? Maybe we could move it to Wednesday. Oh bang. I just thought of this on the spot. Tuesday Night Contender Series. While Contender Series is on, but it's a year thing. Women on Wednesday. You just shuffle it to Wednesday when the Contender Series is on. Tuesdays for Contender Series, women's for Wednesday. All right, women can fight on Wednesday now, and you don't need to do a card every week. UFC doesn't do a card every week, so and, there are less women fighters in the UFC than male. So maybe this is like twice a month thing. This could bang. With double pay for finishes, this could really bang. Like a 7-8 fight card, one title fight a year for the champions, because it's usually what it is. One title fight a year. So, and you know what? Fuck it. You can fight 2 times a year. This is just like a little outline. Dana White, if you want to meet up, we can revise this plan, make it a better plan. Me and the whole UFC staff. But I think this could really bang, man. Tell me I didn't cook with this, bro. Tell me I didn't cook with make all women's fights on Tuesday like Contender Series, bro. It's more fights. If you're a fight fan and you don't like this idea, you're not a fucking fight fan because you don't like more fights. You want more fights or no? You want something to do on a Tuesday night when you're bored as fuck? Get off work and there's fights on. Bang. A couple days later, Saturday, big pay-per-views on. Fucking Alex Pereira versus fucking John Jones. You know what I'm saying? Like, I really think this idea could bang. Dana White, please get in touch with me if you fuck with this idea. These are just, some criteria that I laid out. This is not a set in stone plan. This is just a base idea, for me, for the UFC and I, to meet up and, make this happen. I think this would really work. Double pay for finishes, Tuesday night, more fights. Women put on banger fights too. I don't want to hear this, women don't put on banger fights. Sometimes, they're not good scraps, but, the women put on banger fights. No discrimination. I need to say that once again. No discrimination to the women watching this video. They're probably 0 women, but, if this video does blow up for some reason, because I think this is a good idea, no disrespect towards the women. I think this would actually benefit you guys. You have your own entire card dedicated for women. Tell me I didn't cook for women's rights. Please, tell me. All right? That's it for this video, boys. I think I convinced all of you that, you'd fuck with like a Tuesday night women's fights. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Let me know what ideas you would, add to this. Let me know. Did I cook in the comments? I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.